job. Surrounded doesn't even begin to cover it. Drowning in or suffocated by fits the bill better. But with her full chest, lean waistline, and long brown hair, she's far from being an average girl. Add her large chocolate brown eyes and luscious lips to the mix, she's easily an 8, and all that without makeup. She definitely fulfills the requirements in the looks department. I shake my head playfully and lean closer to the table to whisper to her the truth. I see what I see, and there's nothing average about it. You're beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. She grins, slightly pushing her shoulders forward and lowering her eyes to the table in slight embarrassment. Thank you. Finally, a woman who accepts a compliment without feeling guilty makes me want to praise her even more. So, what made you to decide to become a nurse? She licks her bottom lip and slowly lifts her gaze to me, hesitating to look me in the eye. So different than the women I'm familiar with, the kind who would shamelessly seduce every eligible man. I just love the idea of saving lives. My parents didn't have the money from med school for me to become a doctor, and I certainly didn't have the patience. I couldn't be happier with my job. I love taking care of sick children and assuring their parents that their kids are well taken care of. There's no better feeling in the world for me than the feeling of caring for children. That's admirable. Is it naughty of me to imagine her in a slutty nurse costume? It won't be a costume in her case, though, since she's a real nurse. Do you have any hobbies? Not really. I mean, I help out at the food shelter most of my downtime. Also, I read for the blind members of my community at the local library. They're wonderful people, and I feel honored to have the chance to serve them. Have I mistakenly taken Mother Teresa out on a date? As gorgeous as this girl might be, her generosity is humbling and makes me want to get to know her better. You're great. I wish I had the time to help out people in need. My wickedness probably comes through with my fake wish, but I'm not a hopeless case. Everyone, even I, has a good side inside them, and this girl might just be the right one to help me become my better self. You don't have to be present to help. Keeping the poor and disadvantaged people in your prayers will always do wonders. Fortunately, our orders arrive before tears start to pool in my eyes for the magnitude of goodness Felicia has in her heart. We dive into the delicious food while exchanging little tidbits about our lives and personalities. She talks about She talks about her one and only hobby, riding horses. And the entire time she talks about it, I find myself visualizing her riding me cowgirl style. But according to Julie, I'm not even allowed to kiss her on our first date, much less let her ride me. And I don't think Felicia would be on board with having any sexual contact before marriage anyway. I'll have to find a way to convince her to allow me a test drive before getting myself into a lifelong commitment. All a matter of time, though. For now, I enjoy her beautiful smile and the occasional display of the top of her boobs, along with a cheerful conversation. She admires the leather seats of my limousine as Danny drives us to her home after the dinner. This is a beautiful car. Do you have any other cars? Yeah, several. I'm afraid I don't know how many. Oh, she tilts her head to the side with a slightly disapproving look on her face. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with indulging yourself in nice things as long as you donate a good portion of your fortune to the less fortunate. Yeah, I donate a lot to decrease my taxable income, but it's money given to the poor nonetheless. Doesn't matter the motivation behind it. I donated $10,000 just last month for the ovarian cancer cause. My words light up her eyes, and she gives me a long look of marvel. You're a wonderful man. Her words are like honey, and I can't help but smile in pride. She might just have found a way to turn me into a money-giving machine. Here we are, ma'am. Danny calls out from his seat and stops the car before a 3-story apartment building on Fairfax Avenue. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Felicia smiles at Danny, although his back is turned to her. Then she faces me. Would you like to come up for a cup of coffee? I have a few booklets I'd like to share with you in case you're looking to widen your portfolio of charitable causes. I would be honored to hear your suggestions, I say, probably way too eagerly, but there's something about her that makes me want to donate half my inheritance to appease her. Danny, would you mind waiting for me for a few minutes? No, sir. Danny glances up at me from the rear view, looking confused about my unusual kindness. I clear my throat and climb out of the car, while Danny hurries out to get Felicia's door. Perhaps unaccustomed to having men opening doors for her, she eagerly thanks Danny and walks and slips her arm through mine as we walk toward the building she lives in. It's an old 3-story building with probably 6 or 7 units, and she lives on the first floor in a 1-bedroom apartment. I hand her my coat and stroll into the cozily decorated living room, which has flowers left and right, mostly orchids. As she disappears into the kitchen to get the coffee machine going, I settle on the blue love seat and pick up the book lying on the coffee table. The History of Religion, says the title. I skim through the table of contents while occasionally glancing at the tall bookcase across from me. It's filled with books, probably 100 of them. The urge to call Julie to congratulate her for setting me up with a perfect blind date overwhelms me, and I almost pull my phone out of the pocket of my dress pants to send her a text. But Felicia shows up carrying a tray with 2 cups of coffee. I stand to take the tray out of her hands and lay it on the coffee table beside the religious book. Your library is impressive. You didn't tell me you loved reading. I love reading with a passion. She smiles, blushing as if she's confessed something embarrassing. Although there's nothing wrong about a woman who reads. It shows how smart she is, and that's sexy. This one looks interesting. I point out the religious book and lift a cup of coffee. It's a wonderful book with lots of insights in other religions, about other religions. I'm a devout Catholic myself, but I find other religions fascinating as well. Did you know hell doesn't exist according to Judaism? And Sufi believers are called fuqara, which means poor. I don't think I've ever heard of the word Sufi before. So I just raised my eyebrows to show her how interesting I find the little facts she shared with me. She gives me yet another apologetic glance. I'm boring you, aren't I? She purses her lips, peeking up at me through her thick, long lashes. Absolutely not, I start to say, but she cuts me off by pressing her index finger against my lips. I wasn't expecting any physical contact, much less such an intimate move. She's definitely full of surprises and knows how to get under my skin. We stare at each other for long moments without either of us attempting to make a move. Then she shifts on the couch to get closer to me and locks her eyes with mine, catching me off guard when our faces are only an inch apart. Her skin is flawless, even from up close, and her scent wafts to me in sweet waves. Chewing her bottom lip, she pulls her finger from my lips down my jaw, her touch turning on my male instincts in an instant. All her sweet qualities fade away in the background of her shining beauty and silky skin, and an acute impulse to infiltrate her and make her mine takes over. I should be a better man and fight against it. She doesn't know what she's causing with her close proximity. She's pure. I should respect her and not push matters. She comes closer, despite my best efforts, and brushes her lips against mine, softly, sweetly, taking her time to taste every curve of my lips. Her eyes close, while I keep mine open to admire her charms, as we probe each other's lips. She tastes like the chocolate mousse we ate for dessert, making me want to devour the depths of her mouth. Her hands push against my chest, and I make sure to flex my muscles beneath my shirt to give her a hint of my hard body. She moans softly into my mouth and pushes her body closer, molding it into mine. This is a sweet makeout session, I keep telling my mind. That's ordering me to pin her down and have my way with her. Her pussy must be in desperate need of the special care my able mouth and fingers could provide. Not to mention my hardening cock. But I shouldn't let my urges get the better of me. I should respect her limits. We're only testing our physical attraction and chemistry. I shouldn't read too much into it. She'll run for the hills if I try and show her my physical needs on our first date. Her hands on my torso move south. My breathing becomes shorter, my cock thick and raging, despite my best efforts to keep my body in check. She's very likely not familiar with the male libido, much less mine. Otherwise, she'd know how quickly the touch of her hands can turn me into a sexual beast. Or maybe this is the religious girl's game, seducing but not having sex until she's sure of her place in my life. I must say it's working. I'll not be able to get her out of my mind tonight or any of the following nights until I bury my cock inside her. The idea of not being able to fuck her tonight turns me on and has my cock throbbing painfully. Her hand lowers even more as she hooks her fingers around the waistband of my pants, her lips continuing their sweet massage on mine. But to my astonishment, she reaches for the buttons of my pants, undoes it, and then unzips my pants. What's she up to? If she so much as touches my cock, I won't be able to leave her alone. I'll need supernatural powers to be able to get out of her home without touching her. Despite the slow strokes of her lips against mine, her hands are uncomfortably quick and slip beneath my boxers, and before I know it, she's palming my cock. Everything stops moving at that point, the entire evening turning upside down. What she's doing with her hands tightly around my cock isn't seduction anymore. It's sex, no matter how you look at it. As if that wasn't shocking enough, she pulls her mouth away from my face and quickly moves down to my crotch, closing her moist lips around my cock. Not that I'd ever decline a sexy woman wanting to go down on me, but her eagerness is a complete surprise. I'm getting a blowjob from practically a stranger without even having to ask for it. She takes my cock deeper into her wet, hot mouth, sucking its head with enthusiasm, while I lean back against the back of the couch and throw my head back, my eyes closed, my limbs relaxed, my entire blood supply pooled between my legs. She's very talented at what she's doing and has me coming all over her mouth within minutes and swallows every drop of it eagerly. That was amazing, I muttered, looking down at her through my hooded eyes. The entire evening was great, thank you. Grinning in satisfaction, she wipes her swollen lips with the back of her hand. You're welcome. The easy way the words come out of her mouth makes me wonder how many other men have enjoyed her mouth. The thought instantly destroys all the attraction that's been growing in me for her. This was lovely, but it's getting late. I have an early meeting tomorrow. I get to my feet and get my coat from the small closet by the door. She races behind me and opens the door for me. Are you going to call me? I hate the hesitation in her voice, but I can't help the instant turn off in my head. Sure. The lie rolls out of my lips easily as I move to her face and leave a quick kiss on her cheek. Take care. Good night. She waves after me. Chapter 8, The Reminder. Let's save Chapter 8 for Episode 5, you guys. We are running a little short on time, so I'll just take a minute to say thank you for joining me. We're almost done. I think probably 2 to 3 episodes away from finishing part 1 of Pleasure Extraordinaire. I hope you're enjoying this read, and I hope you come back to join me for the next episode. In the meantime and in between time, take care and don't forget to like, share, and join me next time. Bye now.